When authorities initially released security photos of the suspect, the internet reaction was swift and horny. And this guy they caught down in Pennsylvania, Vinny Rigatoni, he's got social media, and we've been able to see it, and holy happy trail, Batman. You know that guy's Italian because you could grate Parmesan on those abs.
Yes, they all love the murderer because they're the left and they love murder. That's what they're best known for, after all. That and stealing people's stuff. Well, happy Tuesday and welcome back. We remain at 888-630-9625. A great many Democrats feeling a good deal of joy. And they really want to date the murderer here. Oh, Luigi. They love Luigi, who's now been charged with murder in New York. And Democrats are hot for him. They want to date him. They think he's great, and they're doing jokes about his abs. And because late night TV is turning him into a beloved cultural character, thanks to the Democratic Party. And they hate CEOs because they work hard and they're successful and they make a lot of money and they keep their noses clean and all that. But they love death more than we love life, as I like to say. And it turns out, going back with my friend, back and forth with my friend Tim on this, and it's not the first time we've seen this. It's not. We also had Mike from Sunshine calling in to talk about the fact that the Democrats you may remember the Boston Marathon bombing, where children were blown up and people were murdered, and it was a couple of Eastern European Muslims, brothers. You may remember Dzhokhar Tsarnaev and Tamerlan Tsarnaev, and Dzhokhar ran over his brother Tamerlan and killed him. And then Rolling Stone magazine put Dzhokhar Tamerlan Tsarnaev rather, put Dzhokhar Tsarnaev on the front page on the cover of the Rolling Stone. Going to get my picture on the cover of the Rolling Stone. And he is a radical Islamic jihadi murderer who blew up with a bomb innocent random people at the Boston Marathon. And Rolling Stone magazine made him their cover boy for the month because they love murder. They love death. And they thought he was hot and they wanted to date him. And now the same thing is happening here with the lunatic that murdered an innocent corporate CEO and insurance. It was the United Healthcare CEO, Brian Thompson, gunned down before broad daylight outside of a hotel in Midtown Manhattan. And Luigi Mangione is now under arrest. And he's got a manifesto, and they apparently have the pistol that he used with the arrestor, also called the silencer. And he is the guy. And Luigi Mangione is now a hero of the Democrat Party. They're talking about joy, the joy of the murder. They're having a look-alike contest for the murder before they even had any decent pictures before the arrest. They had in New York City over the weekend a look-alike contest for the murderer, who was at that time still unknown, and everybody was gleeful and having a nice time about it. And it turns out that there is a phenomenon that explains this. And again, my friend Tim and I going back and forth. Rolling Stone magazine did the story. The 10 most infamous murderers who married in prison. They married, and there's Charles Manson of the Manson family, as you might expect, with a woman hugging him. He's in prison garb, and she is not. And he got conjugal visits from a woman who fell in love with him after he was in prison, because there are a lot of Democrats out there. And it's pretty amazing stuff. There is a phenomenon, and it's called hybristophilia. 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 While killing someone isn't a recommended way to attract a mate, it certainly does seem to work for some folks. Hybristophilia, the condition of being turned on by someone who commits a violent crime, has often been cited by psychologists as an explanation for why some women, and some men too, willingly marry jailbirds. And I got to say, it's a pandemic here in the United States because there are Democrats everywhere, online and on television and beyond, singing the praises of the murderer because he murdered a man who they accuse of being guilty of thousands of murders. And that's what they're the CEO of a health insurance company. They say that he murdered thousands of people, therefore he should be killed. And therefore the murderer is a hero. Charles Manson might soon join Ted Bundy, Richard Ramirez, the Menendez brothers, and other notorious killers in tying the knot while behind bars. The Rolling Stone story from 2014 by Dan Epstein. And they did a story on, women saying, oh, look, he's a psycho killer. I think I want to marry him in prison. Isn't that amazing? Just completely nuts. But now we're seeing it all over the place when it comes to the latest murderer, Luigi Mangione, who may or may not be related to Chuck Mangione. And what was the song, Feel So Good? You're not responding to me. You're just freezing up on me. So, but there it is. And remarkable stuff. Luigi Mangione has been arrested. And again, his Luigi Mangione's family is a well-known family in the state of Maryland and in the city of Baltimore and beyond. They own country clubs with golf courses. They own a senior health care facility, at least one. They have done very well. One of their family members is an elected state delegate in Maryland, and he is a Republican, I should say, because remarkable stuff. And then I already played the audio, but Piers Morgan interviewing news reporter Taylor Lorenz, who said that she felt joy. She felt joy as a result of the killing of the CEO because she's a member of the left. She calls herself a liberal, but she's really a lefty.
I do believe in the sanctity of life, and I think that's why I felt, along with so many other Americans, joy, unfortunately.
Unfortunately. Why would it be unfortunate that you feel joy? You don't think it's good to feel joy at the murder of a fellow man? Isn't that extraordinary stuff? Just amazing. And again, the family of Luigi Mangione, a very well-to-do family. In fact, they own a radio station in Baltimore that is a conservative talk radio station. And the family, Mangione's family, owns the radio station in Baltimore. Now, I'm not on that particular station at the moment, so I'm not going to promote the station. But the family, honestly, they look like a very nice family, a very good family, a very successful family, serious family. And I think that it's wonderful that they've had the success and they're enjoying the success that the family has built. And now they've got one wild card here. And why do they have this wild card? Why did Luigi Mangione become a murderer and ipso facto a hero of the Democrat Party and the left by virtue of the fact that he murdered a CEO? Isn't that amazing? Yes, it is. Now, it turns out he's Ivy League educated, University of Pennsylvania, with a bachelor's degree and a master's degree. And he went to a very exclusive private school for high school in Maryland. Remarkable stuff. And I've got to say, the family looks great. And the conservative talk radio and country clubs and all of the great successes that they've had. And then they've got Luigi. Luigi is a problem, no doubt about it. Amazing stuff. I actually have a friend that used to have a show on this conservative talk station in Baltimore as well. Wah, wah, wah. Amazing stuff. They own several country clubs, including Hayesfield Country Club in Hunt Valley in Maryland, as well as healthcare facilities and real estate companies in the Baltimore area. And that's great. Now, I mean, again, it's kind of funny because we were talking on the anniversary of the John F. Kennedy assassination. And in 1963, the anniversary, November 22nd, was recently, of course. And I was talking about it here at the microphone and talking about the fact that Lee Harvey Oswald, who shot and killed John F. Kennedy, maybe or maybe not with the help of the CIA, hard to say, because they won't release the documents. But the widow of Lee Harvey Oswald is still alive and well and living in the United States of America. And Lee Harvey Oswald and his Russian Soviet wife, Marina, they had 2 children together, and those 2 children are still alive and well and living in the United States, too. The children of Lee Harvey Oswald, who were little tiny children when Lee Harvey Oswald killed John F. Kennedy with a rifle from the school book depository and all that stuff. But they are appropriately, not held accountable for what their father did. And the same is true in this case, that Luigi Mangione murdered a man. That doesn't, I don't think, reflect on the family in this case, but the first Luigi was a person of interest and then a suspect and then taken into custody because an employee at a McDonald's restaurant in Altoona, Pennsylvania, looked at him and said, "Hey, I think that's the guy that the police are looking for." And he called the police, and the police came, and a rookie police officer who's only been on the job as police officer for 6 months made the arrest. And I've got to say, this is going to be the biggest moment in his police career if he's police officer for the next 30 years. This will probably be the biggest moment 6 months into his career. And Jeff Wolf is giving him a round of applause, the police officer, a round of applause over there. And it is quite remarkable. Now, the family, wonderful family, one bad apple, don't spoil the whole bunch and all that stuff, but taken into custody yesterday. He's going to have to be extradited to New York, where he will be charged either with first-degree murder, which would be appropriate since he obviously plotted, planned, traveled for, and executed his plan by executing Brian Thompson, right? So we've got all that going on. And the Democrat Party, they're in love with him because they suffer from this sickness that they call hybristophilia, where Democrats fall in love with criminals, with murderers, with killers, because they're sick in the head, I think is the short version. All right, let's take a phone call, Michael. Let's go to Jay, calling from Leesburg, Virginia. You can call me Jay. You're on the Chris Plante Show.
Chris, good morning. I have joy because I made it on your show.
Excellent. Joy is good, isn't it?
And Merry Christmas, if I'm allowed to say that now on the radio.
You are. You absolutely are. Merry Christmas to you and to everyone.
Thank you. You are spot on. I want to point out that nobody's talked about the fact that the New York killer does not have a job. He doesn't have a job because he doesn't need one, so he's not disgruntled at losing health care. I think the reason he did this is he's a bored, wealthy young man that was raised on gaming, and the gaming world now kills characters all the time on the video, and they're desensitized. So I think we'll find out that he was bored and wanted to do something that he had grown up doing on the video screen. So you're spot on. I think you're going to take over the 12 o'clock slot when Bongino leaves for the Secret Service. You are great. I've loved you for years. So Merry Christmas to your whole crew.
You're very kind. Thank you very much, and Merry Christmas. Back at you again. That's very kind of you. Thank you. And I've got to say, what's his job? It's true. Nobody's talked about what he's doing for a living, and he comes from a wealthy, well-to-do, successful family, and he's the one oddball who's out here on the fringes, of course. But it's a remarkable development, this one, and I got to say, I mentioned it. I made passing mention earlier about these famous murders in American history. The murders perpetrated by Leopold and Loeb, who were a couple of rich kids in Chicago in the 1920s. And they murdered a young man because they were convinced they could get away with it because they were smarter than everybody else. And Luigi, private school, then University of Pennsylvania, Ivy League, a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, fast-tracking everywhere. And right, he doesn't need it. But he was raised because they teach you to hate everybody at Ivy League schools now, and the left teaches everyone to hate everybody. And you're supposed to hate the healthcare industry and the insurance industry, and CEOs be resentful of CEOs. And when you take all of those elements and put them together, as I did on day one after the murder, just by the way, not to break my arm patting myself on the back, but I did nail all of this very early on. When people say, oh, it's a professional hitman, I said, no, it's not. It's an angry 20-something who's been weaned on hatred of the healthcare industry, the insurance industry, and resentment of CEOs. And it looks like I'm right again. You know, this Christmas, and Christmas is coming up fast, isn't it? This Christmas, as we celebrate the gift of life, you have an opportunity, we all have an opportunity to share that same gift of life with a mother and her baby. Imagine a young woman facing an unplanned pregnancy. She is with child, feeling alone, unsure what to do, searching for hope and for a plan. And that's where Preborn Ministries come in. Preborn Ministries, just wonderful. Deanna already had 8 children, and it was a tumultuous marriage she was in. She thought another child was more than she could bear, but she tried to order the abortion pill, right? But by God's design, it never came in the mail. And 18 weeks along, Deanna decided to visit a preborn network clinic. And while she was getting her sonogram there, her unborn baby waved at her. Then she remembered, that there was a baby that she had asked God for. God saved her baby that day and also saved her life. This Christmas, for just $28, you can help save a life, a human life. And thanks to a special matching grant right now, your gift will be doubled by Preborn. To donate, all you have to do is dial pound 250 and say the keyword baby when you're prompted. That's pound 250 and the keyword is baby. Or you can go on Al Gore's Amazing Internet and go to preborn.com/plant. That's preborn.com/PLANTE. Yes, sir. Yeah, so the ghoulish people, and again, they're on the wrong side of, the Democrats are on the wrong side of both big stories today. They love the murderer in the case, that's Luigi, in the case of Brian Thompson. And they love the criminal on the New York City subway that died, unfortunately, while he was being restrained. Jordan Neely died. The Democrats love Jordan Neely, and they hate the CEO, Brian Thompson. Why is that?
How can this make you joyful? This guy's a husband, he's a father. Why does that make you joyful?
Of Americans that he murdered.
Chris here with a list of things that none of us should trust. The Washington Post, the New York Times, anything on CNN. Here's a list of things that I do trust. The Washington Times. Support real journalism for just $1 a week at washingtontimes.com/Chris. Bum, 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 bum. Now we've got CNN talking about this morning as well. They're talking about why so many Democrats are in love with Luigi the murderer, and they get it wrong, naturally, because they're Democrats, and they get everything wrong at CNN. But I've got that coming up. One of their correspondents right there on the television saying, oh, yeah, all the Democrats online are in love with the murderer, with Luigi. And who is it? Jim sent in. This is pretty funny. You know, the Cuomos have Chris. The Maggionis have Luigi. Michael and I were just talking during the break about people that self-describe as liberals, Democrats, and they are entirely on the side of the murderer, Luigi, in the case of the assassination of the United Healthcare CEO. They love the killer. Boy, do they love the killer. And then in the case in New York with Daniel Penny, who was defending innocent people aboard a subway train that were being terrorized by a psychopath who had been arrested 42 times, including repeated episodes threatening and terrorizing people aboard New York City subways. And the Democrats are on the side of the psychopath in both cases, right? They hate Daniel Penny, who restrained a crazed psychopath, Jordan Neely, aboard a New York City subway train. And all the Democrats, they are all in with Jordan Neely, with his extremely lengthy criminal record, 42 prior arrests. How many prior arrests do you have, Michael? Do you have More than a dozen? 2 dozen? Jeff, how many? What, no arrests? I can't believe that. But Jordan Neely is the hero of the Democrat Party in the story in New York City involving Daniel Penny, who they wanted desperately to lynch. And I've got an update on that coming, too, with the racist, bloodthirsty Democrats, Black Lives Matter people, threatening the world because the outcome of the trial is not what they demanded. They wanted Daniel Penny hanging from a tree in Manhattan. And since that didn't happen, they're furious and threatening violence, which is what they always do, because they love Jordan Neely. All right, but when it comes to the CEO, Brian Thompson, well, they don't love him. They love Luigi Mangione. And that's the Democrat Party. Pretty demented bunch of people. They're the left, and the left loves murder and mayhem. All right, let's go to the telephones. Let's go to Kevin, who's calling from Herndon, Virginia, but grew up in the greater Baltimore area in Maryland. Kevin, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Buongiorno, Chris.
Buongiorno to you.
Good morning in Italiano. Hey, Chris, first, your show is outstanding. I love your work. I love your sarcasm. It's a journalism that can be trusted. And in today's world, you are special, and I appreciate you. But listening to the comments today, they were personal. I grew up with this family in Baltimore. It goes way back to the great-grandfather coming with my father, my grandfather, Tony's Pizza in Ocean City, Papa John's Pizza in Essex. They all came on the same boat to Ellis Island and started the American dream. This family is the American dream. And this son is the only one that I know of, Luigi, that went to Gilman, same school that Cal Ripken's son, Ryan, went to. All the other boys went to Calvert Hall, played professional soccer. I got involved really close with them through the golf industry. So it's a real anomaly to see this happen, and it hurts me. And I actually sent an email to Dino yesterday, the state delegate of Maryland, and told him I'm praying for him because I had some things happen in my life, and this family was nothing but love, didn't waver. I mean, in the one side you have 5 boys, 5 girls. Classic Catholic family, went to St. Anthony's Parish in East Baltimore, as I did back then. And they gave, Miss Rose, his grandmother, gave philanthropically to GBMC Hospital, the Walters Art Gallery. These are people that have done nothing but give love. And when you have one bad thing, it's a shame. It's a shame that it happens. And by the way, the Mangiones own WCBM in Baltimore, which is a very, very right-sided radio station. So they're all conservative.
Yeah, I know. And the cousin who is in the State House, the elected State House, who you said you sent a message
Dino.
to, Dino, he's a Republican, and I mentioned that earlier, actually. But you say, Kevin, that your grandfather, your great grandfather, came over on the boat with their great grandfather.
My grandfather and my father, both named Pietro Collini, came on the boat with their great grandfather, and then their grandfather, Nick, started Turf Valley, Hayfields, the Pikesville Hilton he owned. WCBM
Those are
Radio,
country clubs. They're country club. And you mentioned the Gilman School, where this guy went, Luigi went, and perhaps some of the others. And it's a very nice private school. I'm told it's more than $40,000 a year.
Yeah, I think it's like $47,000. But all the other Mangiones that I'm really close to all went to Calvert Hall, which is kind of like the rival school of Gilman. It's kind of crazy.
Well,
they all went to Calvert Hall.
But you grew up with them, you knew them, and you can't speak highly enough of the family. You love the family. I just mentioned, Kevin, that every family's got one. The Cuomo family's got Chris Cuomo.
Yeah.
So what's
my
worse?
Family's bad one. My brother went to the Naval Academy, up for admiral. Was at the Joint Chiefs. He decided not to take the star because of Mr. Obama. He's 33 years, and boom. And now that Obama's out, my brother's back at the Pentagon, consulting, still working with special ops and teams. Imagine that.
That is wonderful. Another great American story, a great American family. And what do you say, Pietro? It's not Pietropoli. What is it?
What's that? My grandfather?
Yeah, Pietropoli.
Oh, no, Pietro Collini.
Pietro Collini.
Collini.
Okay.
I announced myself as that, but people around here who know me, my stepfather's name was Alan. I had a radio show here in D.C. on a sports talk, and it was a golf show.
How about that? That is wild. Well, and on the Mangiones, on the family, you grew up with them. You think they're a great, wonderful American family, a great American story. And it's unfortunate that Luigi went off the reservation, but this is what happens, I guess, when you send your kids to I won't blame the Gilman School, the private school where he went to high school before he went to University of Pennsylvania. But an Ivy League education doesn't seem to do most people a lot of good these days. They end up being genocidal anti-Semites and supporting Hamas and chanting from the river to the sea and trashing and burning things and looting and attacking, Ivy League. I got to tell you, I don't think I'd hire anybody from an Ivy League school these days to do anything.
I concur. I couldn't agree more with you. The only way I would or hire a kid from an Ivy League school is that he had the acumen, the academic acumen, but he'd have to be a wrestler or play sports because I know he wouldn't be a quitter, and he'd fight for what he believes in. So that would be my end. I would always hire a wrestler.
That is great.
Guess what? Luigi was a wrestler, but at Gilman, but he never cracked the varsity lineup. How about that?
Well, that's fun.
Yeah.
And Kevin, thank you for the call. That leads us to our next soundbite, as a matter of fact, because the Democrats, including reporters at CNN, are hot for him. And it's they say, he goes to the gym. Oh, look at his abs. They're talking about his abs. He's a murderer. He was just arrested for an assassination of an innocent man who they accuse of being guilty of, killing thousands of people, because this is the rhetoric that the left uses, and everyone is Hitler and everybody's a fascist, except them, of course, while they harvest the organs of 1 million babies a year and give out awards for it. But never mind who's the Nazi here. Let's not get all caught up in that. All right, Kevin, thank you for calling in, and thank you for the kind words, and for the family too, because it's a Mangione family. Again, every indication until Luigi and yesterday, every indication is the family's the American super family, and that's great. Now let's go to Kate Bedingfield on CNN this morning. On CNN, Kate Bedingfield, their reporter, talking about how all the Democrats are hot for the murderer.
There's also just the reaction online is also just such a reinforcement of how much aesthetics, attractiveness, like the shallowness of the American people, the American people who are online, we'll say, is very much on display here.
So she indicts the entirety of the American people as being shallow because she sees lefties online who are apparently obsessed with his attractiveness, right? And the aesthetics, meaning they think that he's cute, that he's attractive, that he's handsome. And she's like, well, you know why we all want to, we'll just use a euphemism and say date him.
Yes, there's absolutely a bubbling anger about the inequity in the country writ large and in the healthcare system, no question. But so much of the clips we were watching at the top of this segment are driven by the fact that this is an attractive
we got to drop the banner to show why.
And it is deeply troubling that we are celebrating this person who's committed cold-blooded murder because he clearly went to the gym.
They're celebrating him, and she thinks it's a shame that they're celebrating him because he clearly went to the gym. You're not engaging in this conduct because he went to the gym. You're engaging in this conduct because he murdered a man, because he assassinated a 50-year-old CEO with United Healthcare on a sidewalk, and you guys were hot for him before there was ever a picture of his face from the hostel in New York, before we ever saw the picture of his face from the taxi cab driver, who's another hero in this story, who has the camera inside his automobile and got a picture of Luigi peering through the bulletproof window, separating the front and the back of the car. But this is we're celebrating because he clearly went to the gym. No, that's really not it. But you guys are psychopaths, I think might be it. And then CNN, they invited on the one-time roommate of Luigi. And honestly, this guy apparently shared an apartment for about 6 months with Luigi Mangione, living together in Hawaii. And I've seen pictures of Luigi wearing his Bali shirt and photographs of him in very green, lush, exotic places looking like the South Pacific. And on CNN, again, they had the former roommate whose name is R.J. Martin. And R.J. Martin was on CNN last night to talk about his former roommate, Luigi.
Unfathomable, knowing the kind, person that I saw and knew. I remember he said he had a back issue and he was hoping to get stronger in Hawaii. It also weighed on him that he knew that there was an impending surgery.
An impending surgery. See, now they're coming up with excuses. The news media is coming up with excuses, and one of them now is that Luigi had back surgery, and I saw an X-ray that seems to show 4 screws in a neck or a spinal cord from a surgery, and I can't say whether it's Luigi's neck, whether it's Luigi's surgery. I can't speak to that at all. But one of the headlines is that Luigi, because of surgery, can't have the sex anymore. Not going to have it a sex. And honestly, if that's the case, then he's got some other issues. But honestly, the Democrats are looking for excuses to make. The headline in the Daily Mail, Luigi Mangione was unable to have sex because of severe back injury, former roommate says. And it's RJ here, who we're playing for you, that said that Luigi, he can no have it a sex because of the back injury. And then, again, these claims that he had surgery. Does this have anything to do with his psychopathic desire to murder Brian Thompson? Did United Healthcare have anything to do with it, or would any placeholder do?
When he first came, he went on a surf lesson with other members, and unfortunately, just a basic surf lesson, he was in bed for about a week. We had to get a different bed for him that was more firm, and I know it was really traumatic and difficult. When you're in your early 20s and you can't, do some basic things, it can be really, really difficult.
Sure, but does that mean you go shoot a man down on the sidewalk because he works in the medical insurance industry? Is that it? And that's basically what's happening here, is the Democrats in the news media are scrounging around for any explanation that would excuse his conduct, right? Because that's what they do. Now, again, the headline in the Daily Mail, CEO shooter Luigi Mangione's sex secret after back surgery as he spiraled into health industry obsession. Obsessed with the health industry. Brian Thompson's shooting suspect, Luigi Mangione, suffered a back injury so severe he was unable to have sex, a former roommate said. Now, when you're a young, rich kid, Ivy League, private school, I guess you figure you'll never be injured or something. Amazing stuff. That nothing delivers comfort and joy quite like the unrivaled quality and taste of Omaha Steaks. It is guaranteed perfection in every single bite, and right now you can save on unforgettable gifts with 50% off the entire website at omahasteaks.com. Plus, you score an extra $30 off with the promo code PLANT. That's my last name, Plante. There's an E. Nobody knows why. Growing up in Chicago, my neighbors would get Omaha Steaks delivered, and I always envied them, and I see them grilling in the backyard, and I was starving. Oh, please, sir, let me have a bite of steak. Now I get Omaha Steaks delivered to my house, and I got to tell you, from legendary steaks to mouth-watering desserts and more, right now you save 50% off the entire website for a limited time at omahasteaks.com. Plus, because you listen to my humble radio broadcast, you get another $30 off with the promo code PLANT. That's 50% off at OMAHA, omahasteaks.com, and another $30 off with the promo code PLANT. Minimum purchase may apply. Visit omahasteaks.com for details. Yeah, the Democrat Party is not what it used to be, and they're a demented bunch. They teach the hate, and then one of the haters murders, assassinates, and they fall in line, and they fall in love with the killer. Forget about the 50-year-old guy with 2 kids that was murdered. The Democrats could care less about that. And in New York, they want to lynch the Marine to protect the crazy, psychopathic career criminal. And Luigi had a manifesto. They all have manifestos, don't they? It's only 3 pages long. It's handwritten. He expressed his contempt for capitalism. He's done that online. His contempt for capitalism because he went to the University of Pennsylvania. Comes from a very successful family, Ivy League educated. So naturally, he learned to be contemptuous of capitalism somewhere along the way, and of the healthcare industry, which is naturally the best in the world here in the United States. And at the same time, Luigi Mangione's social media flooded with flirty texts and followers after his arrest in Brian Thompson murder, right? Because the Democrats they're a crazy bunch these days. A manifesto found on Luigi Mangione in one of his backpacks. Turns out he had 2 backpacks too. And he loved the Unabomber. He loved Ted Kaczynski. Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber, by the way, was an eco-terrorist, an environmental terrorist. Ted Kaczynski, Unabomber. He attacked people because the environment, because the weather. It was even before the global warming, before the weather. It was about environmental things. And this guy loved the Unabomber. He loved Ted Kaczynski. Now, the manifesto found in Luigi Mangione, the 26-year-old suspect in the killing United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, reportedly said, "These parasites had it coming." And this is what the Democrat Party teaches. They train people, they raise people on Ivy League campuses and beyond to be contemptuous of healthcare and insurance and CEOs. And then this happens, and now they're in love with the murderer.